Planet Earth, one of the greatest blessings we've been given. Our land provides the food we eat, the water we drink, the very air we breathe. Maybe more than any others, cooperative members know the importance of taking care of our Earth because many of us live off that land. But times have changed since cooperatives first started lighting up the countryside. Our population has grown, cities thrived, industry and technology flourished. And everything we do impacts our land. From the number of cars on the streets, to the amount of trees we cut down, even how much electricity we use. Today, however, that cooperative way of life is being threatened. The government, activists, and lobbyists are trying to legislate how cooperatives provide power to our members. They think they know what's best for cooperatives. But the things they have in mind, well, let's just say they come at a cost. A very expensive cost to cooperative members.
To understand the struggle co-ops are facing, we first need to understand the power mix we buy from Power South Energy.
We always try to dispatch our cheapest units first and the most. Typically that's either coal or natural gas-fired generation. We have some valuable renewables on our system. 4% of our energy comes from hydroelectric power, which we count as renewable energy. We also have some landfill gas that generates energy for us, and that's a renewable resource. We don't have any wind on our system. We are participating in a wind project in Iowa. There's just really not enough wind to support production of energy on a utility scale in the Southeast.
Across America, 42 million people in 47 states get their power from co-ops. And 70% of that co-op power comes from coal. And there's a good reason for that.
We have right now about 240 years of coal under the earth.
Coal generation is very critical to our energy blend. If coal were not part of our mix today, we would be in real trouble as an electric utility trying to provide the needs of our members on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. Coal is very critical not only today, but as we look into the future as our power supply mix.
So, coal is cheap, and we have plenty of it here in America. So what's the problem? Well, here's where our story gets a little complicated. As much as we think coal is a good thing, there are those out there who disagree. And it all comes down to this: climate change, what some call global warming. The theory that the temperature of our planet is warming, changing our weather patterns, and even increasing the number of natural disasters. So, who are the players in the environmental game? First, you have the President of the United States. Second, there's the Congress, both on the state and national levels, who can introduce their own environmental bills. Third, there's the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. They've got 17,000 employees whose job it is to protect the earth, air, land, and water. Now, they may all mean well, but in an attempt to protect the environment at any expense, their pending regulations may actually hurt the people who live in that environment. And by hurt, I mean hurt their wallets.
The dilemma we have as electric cooperatives today is 40% of our electricity in Alabama comes from clean coal plants. Now, why is that? In the 70s and 80s, electric cooperatives were growing rapidly, and we needed new generation. Natural gas wasn't available or practical to produce electricity because of the federal government regulations of that era. Nuclear was not an option at that time because there was a moratorium on nuclear energy. So we went with coal.
Soon after Washington dictated the cooperative's huge investment in coal, along came hundreds of pages of new regulations and stricter standards dealing with fossil fuel generation. Some of these environmental laws and regulations made sense. Others were politically motivated. But all of them came at a big cost to the cooperative world. Big.
Coal has obviously been a large part of our generation mix through the years, been very important to us. And as we look to the future, we made quite a bit of investment in our coal fleet, having it prepared for the future. Over the last 5 years, we've invested more than $300 million in air quality upgrades to help reduce the NOx emissions, SO2 emissions, as well as the mercury emissions out of our plants. That's been a very considerable investment on part of our members. It equates on an annual basis to more than $50 million a year to our overall generation cost in keeping coal viable. Not that long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, the United States emitted more carbon dioxide than China. That's not the case today. Many studies show that China emits twice as much carbon dioxide today as the United States, and that trend seems to be increasing. They're adding about a coal unit a week, whereas the United States has not added a coal unit in 2 to 3 years.
So even though the Environmental Protection Agency agrees that the air is cleaner today than it has been in decades, new regulations just keep on coming. On June 25, 2013, President Obama held a special press conference to announce his sweeping new climate change agenda.
I'm directing the Environmental Protection Agency to put an end to the limitless dumping of carbon pollution from our power plants and complete new pollution standards for both new and existing power plants.
Using executive power and completely bypassing Congress, the President launched a personal war on coal.
The President has called for an all-of-the-above energy strategy, but in fact, it's really an all-but-one energy strategy. The new policies that EPA has proposed will eliminate our ability to generate electricity with coal as we go forward. So coal plants that our members have paid for over the years won't be used anymore. They'll become stranded investments that our member owners made in good faith under prior government regulations.
And nobody's ever asked, well, who's going to pay for all this? And people say, well, the government's going to pay for this. The government is you. It's the people. It's the taxes that we all pay. And this is very problematic, particularly in areas who haven't recovered from the recession, where we still see high unemployment. We're talking about money out of your pocket for government to pay for new government regulations. Are you willing to pay 25%, 50%, 100% more than you currently do today to comply with government regulation? Bottom line.
So the government is out to get coal. Why don't we just stop burning coal? Switch to renewable energy sources. Change is good, right?
We need to have a balanced set of resources, a diverse set of resources to serve the energy needs, because at certain times one fuel cost may be high and another low. We want to take advantage of that. We also need a balanced, diverse set of resources to serve when other resources can't. Renewable resources, particularly solar and wind, they're good when the sun shines and the wind blows. But when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing, you have to have other resources to pick up the slack and be there 24/7. And coal's one of those resources. Coal provides an opportunity for us to make sure we can meet our load at all times of the day, at all times of the night. If you take coal out of the mix, you've taken one of the most affordable resources, the most consistent resource out of the mix, and you've placed the burden on other resources that are less affordable, less consistent.
And coal won't be the only thing affected by carbon regulations. Remember when we said that 15% of our electricity comes from natural gas?
The Sierra Club has had a push against coal to be beyond coal, but now they are beyond natural gas too. Natural gas and coal provide 70% of the energy in our country. So what are we going to do? Are we going to tell folks, well, you can surf the internet during the day, but at nighttime don't wash your clothes, don't run the dishwasher. You've got to pick certain times because the resources we're falling back on now are intermittent.
So where do cooperatives stand? More than anything, we believe there needs to be a balance. We've been proactively doing what's right for our planet for years, while keeping our rates affordable for our members.
If you back up and take a look at it, this plan puts a bullseye on the southeastern United States, 8 or 10 states we're talking about, and particularly Alabama. It's going to change your life. And electric co-ops are all about providing affordable, reliable electric service to you. And just imagine what impact it's going to have on the businesses here in the Southeast in Alabama. They're going to move overseas. They're going to look for another place to do business. And just imagine the impact that's going to have on the jobs here in our area.
Every place is different, and we have to honor regional differences, but we also have to understand that people can only afford so much. We have to be able to weigh and balance efficiency and conservation and the use of renewables with affordability.
So, it all comes down to this. Decisions are being made right now in Washington, D.C. that will dramatically affect all of us. Decisions that affect whether you can take a family vacation, whether we can save for retirement, and even whether we can put dinner on the table. So what are you going to do? You're busy, you got carpool, and 2 jobs, and your to-do list around the house is a mile long, and you're just one person. Here's where you're wrong. When all the co-op members come together, our voices are strong and loud. And you've got all the tools you need: a phone, a pen and paper, Twitter, Facebook, and most importantly, a voice. You have a voice.
We want to use the Congress to help us get our message across that you can't go very far on this without impacting not only the American economy, but the American people.
When we come together, if we engage and make our voices heard, it will make a difference. We've seen it happen time and time again, and that really is the strength of the electric cooperatives.
Today, we're taking a stand to ensure cooperative members keep the reliable electricity we fought for at a price all of us can afford. The co-op needs you now more than ever before. We need your voice to protect our wallets, to protect our way of life, and to protect our future.